Let's jump right into this. I want you to imagine a scenario for a second. You're sitting in a room, it's just you, a chair, and absolutely nothing else. No phone, no TV, no books, zero background music. Just pure, uninterrupted silence. So how long do you honestly think you could sit there before you feel this overwhelming, almost physical itch to get up and do something? If you're like most of us, the answer is probably just a few minutes. Today, we're diving into an explainer based on the fascinating work of the creator known as the functional melancholic. We're going to look at the deep, psychological reasons why we are literally terrified of simply existing in our own company.
It really brings up this everyday mystery we all face, right? Why can't you just sit still? Think about the absolute last time you were waiting in line at the grocery store, or maybe just sitting in your car for an extra 30 seconds after parking. What did you do? Boom, you reach for your phone. It's practically a reflex at this point. The absolute second we are left alone in a quiet room or faced with an empty moment, we instinctively scramble for an exit ramp. But what exactly are we running from? Well, to illustrate the supreme irony of our situation, check out this number, 40,957. That is the exact number of people who, in just over a single week, clicked on a video essay by the functional melancholic titled Why We Can't Be Alone with Our Thoughts. I mean, think about that. Over 40,000 people actively sought out an internet distraction to listen to an essay about why they're constantly seeking out internet distractions. We're literally using external noise to avoid our internal noise, even when we are trying to learn about our internal noise. It is just this beautiful, darkly comedic loop. You know, it's so incredibly easy to just point the finger at modern technology, isn't it? We blame Silicon Valley, we blame the algorithm, we blame our smartphones for our totally wrecked attention spans. But the source material proposes something way more profound. Our phones, they aren't the disease. They're really just the pacifier. The true symptom here is our desperate attempt to escape our own minds. So the real culprit isn't actually that little glass rectangle in your pocket. It's human psychology itself. Think about it. We totally romanticize this cultural concept of being alone. We picture a cozy cabin in the woods, sipping tea, gazing thoughtfully out of a frosty window. That's the expectation, right? Peaceful solitude. But what actually happens when we try it? The reality hits us like a ton of bricks. We last maybe, 3 minutes before the silence gets completely deafening? We start pacing, our foot starts tapping. Suddenly we're organizing a junk drawer we haven't even opened in 5 years. We replace peaceful solitude with frantic distraction because the quiet suddenly feels completely dangerous. And here is exactly why that quiet feels so dangerous. It triggers existential anxiety. This is this deep-seated psychological dread that's totally rooted in self-awareness and the stark realization of the human condition. When you strip away all those distractions, you are left alone with the fundamental truths of existence. You remember your own mortality, the completely unpredictable nature of the future, the heavy weight of your past choices, and just the general wild absurdity of being alive. That heavy, looming dread makes a quiet room incredibly uncomfortable. You aren't just sitting with yourself, you are sitting with the entire weight of the human condition. As the functional melancholic points out, this behavior is, quote, rooted in existential anxiety, self-awareness, consciousness, and the human condition. Our brains are, without a doubt, these remarkable, highly evolved organs. But that exact same high-level consciousness that lets us build massive skyscrapers and compose symphonies, well, it also acts as a relentless engine of self-reflection. When we aren't occupying that engine with a task, it just turns inward. It starts chewing on our anxieties. Our very own hyper-aware consciousness is the exact thing driving this constant, frantic need to escape.
To really get a grip on this, we've got to look to philosophy, specifically a Norwegian philosopher whose ideas are, well, as bleak as they are absolutely fascinating. Enter Peter Wessel Zapffe. The source material draws pretty heavily on Zapffel's perspectives to give us this darkly humorous yet surprisingly validating explanation for our frantic modern behavior. Zapffe essentially argued that we human beings have a fundamental biological tragedy sitting right at the core of our existence.
So Zapffe argued that consciousness is actually an evolutionary burden. Picture this. Imagine an animal that evolved with antlers so incredibly massive, it literally couldn't lift its head to walk through the forest. Zapffe believed human consciousness is exactly like those antlers. We evolved way too much self-awareness for our own good. And because of this, he believed being human is just inherently difficult. We uniquely understand our own cosmic insignificance. So how on earth do we cope? Distraction. Distraction isn't some kind of modern moral failing. According to Zapffe, it is literally our primary survival tool. We basically have to artificially limit our consciousness just to make it through a Tuesday. So if we are all walking around with these massive, heavy, evolutionary antlers of consciousness, the natural question becomes, how do we actually manage this burden? We obviously can't all sit around contemplating the infinite void 24 hours a day, or society would completely collapse. We have to transition from Zapffe's abstract existential dread right into the highly relatable physical world that you and I navigate every single morning. And the answer is what the source material refers to as the machinery of modern life. Just look at how we structure our entire world. We've got 40-hour work weeks, meticulously planned color-coded calendars, hobbies, endless streams of media, sports leagues, social obligations. Now, we complain about the daily grind all the time, but if we view it through Zappa's lens, this entire societal structure is just an elaborate, collective coping mechanism. We've built a giant machine designed specifically to keep us busy, to keep our minds occupied, and to keep us comfortably numb to those deeper existential questions. If we really break down the focus of our time, the numbers are incredibly telling and, honestly, a little cynical. A massive 95% of our time is purely dedicated to avoiding our own minds. We scroll, we work, we shop, we consume. It's only about 5% of the time, maybe late at night when we just can't sleep or during a sudden, unexpected moment of silence, that we actually confront the human condition. It is darkly humorous just how much of our highly productive, meticulously scheduled lives is completely and utterly dedicated to escapism. And the contrast between what we use to escape and what we are actually escaping from is almost comical. We use completely trivial escapism, endless scrolling through short-form videos, putting on a random sitcom in the background just for the noise, reading weird celebrity gossip. We use all of that to block out the massive weight of existence, the vastness of the universe, and our own mortality. We are literally holding up a tiny glowing glass screen like a shield to block out the infinite void. So what should you actually take away from all of this? Look, the goal here isn't to make you feel bad about watching TV or checking your phone. It's really about finding a little dark wisdom in all that noise. By understanding this social commentary, we can reach a wry, gentle acceptance of our own behavior. So the next time you find yourself doom scrolling, don't just beat yourself up for being lazy or addicted to your phone. Realize that it's just a very human symptom of a very human condition. You are just a highly evolved creature trying your best to manage the immense burden of your own self-awareness. Which leads us to a final, slightly provocative thought to end this explainer. Are you just distracting yourself right now? I mean, you clicked on this explainer. You've spent the last several minutes engaging with these concepts, learning all about existential dread and the human condition, but in doing so, weren't you just finding a highly productive way to avoid sitting alone in a quiet room with your own thoughts? Definitely something to chew on the next time you encounter a moment of pure silence. Until next time, stay curious, and hey, good luck out there in the quiet.